Hi, Professor. How are you?
Hi, Arthur. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
Hello, Professor.
Hello there. How you doing?
Good. This is Zohar. Sorry that I just come from my husband's computer. That's why it's not allowed.
No problem at all. Do you know how to change your name?
I will delete the Zoom links and then I will install it again.
Okay, yeah. Let me know if you. I can change your name for you too, if that's easier.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Let me make sure I spell your name though, right? Hold on 1 second while I do this. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
You are so welcome.
And Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry.
Dinner time.
My question is that I just take the quiz. I think it's lesson 5 and 6, and I finished. But when I check the grade, it says 0 out of 10. I don't know.
Yeah, so last week I spent most of my time grading grammar writing 1. So this week I've got other stuff to catch up on for grades in this class. But if you submitted something and you don't have points yet, it just means that I haven't graded it yet. So there's no problem.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Of course. Oh, because I'm sure you are not the only one asking. So if you're here with me or you're watching the video on the recording, you know, that's what's going on.
And even the grammar writing, the second one?
That, yeah, again, those, the people have a week to revise and resubmit. So again, I'm trying to give people, you know, if they've got another little day or two here, but I'll be grading. I could say this to everybody when they're here too, but Thursday, in fact, before we meet, Qatar, I'll be doing lots of grading. So you'll see lots of points and grades and stuff in this class on Thursday morning.
I hope you're not catching me to fix something.
Well, that's not what I'm saying, right? That's not supposed to be a threat or sound scary, but sometimes, you know, of course, I understand students are like, you know, I want to know how many points or what's going on. So of course, you know, it just sometimes it takes a week or two, but I'll have points in Canvas for you this week.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll see if people start arriving. We're a small group right now at the very beginning of class here.
Hi, I also have a question.
Okay.
In the very beginning of the grades, I also did the name couch, but I still didn't receive any points.
Yeah, the only
0.
Yeah, the only thing is the lessons from the very beginning of the semester, Khalida, are usually what I grade last. So, you know, you're not late if you do them in week 3, 4, or 5, but usually it takes me some time to finish those really old lessons. So I promise if you submitted something, I will get there and you will get the points. It just takes longer because I'm trying to grade the things that people are submitting this week, you know, right now. So,
Hello, Professor, and everyone.
you know.
Sorry.
I thought it's maybe automatically graded by the Canvas. Okay.
No. Some
Yeah, I thought the same.
some questions and some of the quizzes are graded automatically, but and I think some teachers do this, but I like to see your work. I mean, I'm the teacher, not a computer. You know what I mean? The computer.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and there was something that I didn't know. I just opened the quiz and my girl start crying. I just leave it and put her in sleep. I fall asleep. When I came back, it was like 2000 minutes like this. So I said, oh my God, that's and I passed the quiz.
There's no time limit, right? So it's not like it said you're out of time, right?
Yeah. And when I checked, it was 0. I thought because of that, I got 0.
No, I try, hopefully, right? I try to tell you guys, don't let Canvas scare you. I am a human being and I'm here looking at things. So even if Canvas shows you a points or a score right away, I will always go back and check every lesson. That's why sometimes I am a little slow on grading, but I promise I will get there.
It's okay.
Yeah. Got some more people coming in. I said hi to Ina and Esther's here. Bibi's here. Zuhra's here. More people coming in. Hi, you guys. We'll start in just a minute or two. We'll see how many people we've got. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm tired this week. I'm a little low energy this week. So maybe we'll have fewer people here this week. Hey, Rafi.
Hi.
But we'll see how many people we have.
Professor.
Sure. Tell me.
I just read your comment and I not really understand. I tried to call you, but because I just come back, I was in emergency by that, and I just like figure out like how I have to. I read your comment, but I not really understand. Can you ask you after class about? I have some question. I'm not really understand what I have to do. Like what kind of like, because I did this from phone. Right now I'm on computer, but I have to figure out what kind of like format and everything I have to do.
Yeah, probably after I have class that starts 10 minutes after this one. So I
Okay,
can't.
can we talk tomorrow in the morning?
Yeah, of course.
Time.
My regular office hours, remember, my regular office hours are, hold on, let me show on the screen. So my regular office hours start at 10:15 to 12:15. So if you can come anytime at this time tomorrow, all you have to do is click this link right here.
Okay.
And if this time doesn't work tomorrow, just send me a text. I couldn't pick up your phone call because I was preparing for this class, but.
Professor, can I come because at 10:30 I have class? Can I 15 minutes is enough if I come at 10:15, right?
I'll be there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right. We might have a smaller group today, but that is all good. Because like I said, maybe you guys are tired like me. But it is good to see you all. I saw Fazia came in here too. So just saying hi to people as they come in. All right. It is October 5th, week 7 of the fall 2021 semester. We're almost halfway there. We're doing it. We're getting there, you guys. So I wanted to show you what we are doing today. So for today, I've got a quick warm-up activity for us to finish up with verb phrases. And then I started to talk about this last week, but very, very quickly and not long enough. So we're going to talk about clauses and sentence types because again, we are getting ready for grammar writing 2. That's a little preview. Grammar writing 2 is coming up, okay? So this is what we're doing today, but first, a quick review. Remember, at the end of class last week, we talked a lot about not just all the verb phrases that we can see in English, but the different things that look like verbs but aren't really verbs. Remember, we talked about auxiliaries. We talked about infinitive forms. We talked about the present participle. That's the, excuse me, that's the base form of the verb plus ing. And we talked about past participles. That's the base form of the verb plus ed, unless it's an irregular past participle. Things like go, when you use the past participle, it's go, went, gone, right? These are things we usually have you memorize in grammar 50 or even before. So that's what I mean when I say past participle, right? So in this case, I'm not even going to ask you to identify the things that look like verbs but aren't verbs. I've got them in yellow. And all I want you to do is look at the chart here. We'll take a minute or two here and decide, are these auxiliaries? Are they infinitives? Are they present participles? Are they past participles? So here's the example sentence. By studying English grammar, we are learning to recognize different types of clauses. And after we have practiced, we will feel more confident writing academic sentences. So again, a nice, interesting sentence. There's some interesting things going on there, but it's not like this is the most complicated English, sentence that was ever written. But we've got lots of things that look like verbs, but are not verbs. So let's talk about them. Let's just start really simply, like I always ask us to do. Let's start with our subjects. Where are the subjects in this sentence? We have more than one, I'll tell you that. You can either say
English grammar.
Okay, if English grammar is a subject, where is the verb?
Learning.
Studying.
Okay, I'll say this right now. I think learning is a verb. Well, I don't think, I'm telling you it is. Okay, so learning is a verb. So what's the subject for that verb learning?
We.
Thank you.
Or is a verb. Here, or is a verb. We are.
Are is not a verb. What is are actually?
Auxiliary.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yes, are is an auxiliary. Remember, when this is an example of what? Of the present continuous tense. This is a tense that needs an auxiliary verb to help make the main verb into that specific tense, right? So here we have we is the subject, are learning, are is the auxiliary, and learning is the verb. So let me ask you again, do we have a subject in this part of the sentence by studying English grammar? Do we have a subject here?
No.
No, we do not. In fact, this first word is a preposition. So at the very beginning of this sentence, what do we have?
Excuse me, sir. Sorry for interruption.
Okay.
Hello? Is it? I'm Kamgawa Kimi. Actually, sir.
How can I help you?
I'm so sorry to inform you that today someone is sick. I'm in the hospital, so I can just inform you that I can watch the video after the class, but I cannot attend the class.
Of course, yeah, thank you. You never, I think it's very kind, and I know you're a very respectful student for saying this, but you don't have to come and tell me, right? If you're in the hospital, Kamgar, take care of yourself, take care of your family. I appreciate it, and I really do appreciate it. But remember, go take care of yourself. That's why the video's there, okay?
No, thank you. That's why I inform you, sir, that I just log in from my phone to tell you that's it. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Get out of here. Go be with your family or friends. Get out of here. You got more important stuff to do than talk about verb infinitives, Kamgar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You guys are the best. Okay, so I
You're
was.
the best.
You're the best for sure.
You made
Very
my day.
positive. You know, like I was in emergency by dad because he had like very low blood pressure and he by pacemaker, and like I come back just 30 minutes ago home, and like you're smiling make like, you know, feel more relaxed, calm down, you know.
Well, that really is. Here's an idiom for you guys. That is a two-way street. It goes both ways because you guys, for whatever reason, I just feel a little low. I feel a little kind of low energy today. Not sad, but then when I see you guys and hear your voices, it gives me energy. So it's a two-way street, you guys. It's a two-way street. It goes both ways. And you know I mean it, right? Your families are way more important than English grammar. Oh my goodness. But since we're here to talk about English grammar, we'll finish this example here. Okay, so like I was saying at the beginning of the sentence, we have, remember what in the textbook is called, and what I've said several times, is an introductory phrase. Often these introductory phrases, introductory elements are prepositional phrases. And look at this. I've got a preposition. And then after that, I'm just going to tell you, this is an object noun phrase, right? So if this is it looks like a verb, but it's acting like a noun, we could call this what? What do we call those things? Looks like a verb, acts like a noun.
Gerund.
Thank you. It is a gerund. But when it's in this ing form, from our list up here, auxiliary, infinitive, present participle, or past participle, what do we have at the beginning here with studying? I'll say it one more time.
Past participle.
Present participle is ing. Present.
Yes.
Present, yes.
Present.
I know
Good,
we
I'm good.
about this. We didn't talk about this for too much, but again, it's in your books and it's in the video that I made for you guys. Studying here is a gerund. It's the noun form of the verb, and in fact, it's the object object noun phrase of the preposition by, right? So we could call this a present participle, right? This is a present participle. That's what it's doing. It looks like a verb. It's not actually a verb. We could also, just so that this is clear, I'll put this here. It's a gerund, right? This is a gerund. So I've got a preposition. I've got a noun phrase. Then our subject, we are to recognize. If we look at the list, is this auxiliary infinitive? Oh, I think my internet might be slow. You guys still got me? Okay, good.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, good. Is this auxiliary infinitive, present participle, or past participle?
Which one, Professor?
To recognize. And I've got it on the list down here too, right?
Infinitive.
I agree. Bibi's saying infinitive. Now, again, we're doing this because you will be doing this, right? Again, sort of a preparation for grammar writing too. I want to make sure we're comfortable with these ways to label the verbs, right? Because so hopefully to recognize, especially if it comes after the main verb, right? If I've got a clear subject, and we already said this is the verb, right? Remember, as I've said several times, we can't have two verbs in one clause in English. So if you see verb and then the to and then another verb, that's the infinitive form, right? So to recognize is absolutely an infinitive in this example sentence. So by studying English grammar, we, subject, are learning. And then remember, we could replace this whole thing with an object noun phrase. This again passes that something test, just more examples to show you. So we are learning to recognize different types of clauses. Any questions about this first clause? Because I want to continue, but I also want to make sure this is clear. So again, studying is a present participle. Are is an auxiliary. Learning is the actual verb, and to recognize is an infinitive. Questions about this?
Excuse me.
Yes,
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Present participle. means just the verb with ing form
Exactly.
without be form, for example, are, is.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly
okay.
right. Exactly right. And I should have put this, I'll put this back in here. This was in last week's PowerPoint as well, everybody. That's what I'm opening up here. But let me just put this slide back in for this week too, because it's so helpful. And I think we only talked about it for, 5 or 10 minutes at the end of class. Oops, excuse me. Remember, this is and again, this is now in 2 of the PowerPoints, you guys. So if you're watching the recording, this is sort of like the cheat sheet for these 4 terms, right? So infinitive is 2 plus the base form. The present participle is the base form plus ing. The past participle is the base form plus ed, or like we said, unfortunately, we know lots of irregular past participles in English. And then our auxiliaries, right? So be is an auxiliary and I am talking. We were shopping. He will be buying, whatever, right? He will be buying. So again, I'll put this chart back in here. Now, this is in last week's PowerPoint and today because it's really helpful. It's really, really helpful to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rafi. Okay, any other questions about the first clause before we finish? Okay. Well, let's look at this again. Bibi, yes?
Yes. So what's different type of classes? What is that? It's the object, it's the complete sentences, what's that?
We're going after this verb practice. I have
Yeah.
look, I've got all these slides about clauses.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Professor.
Of course, because but just to answer your question in a short way, Bibi, in this sentence, we've got 3 clauses because as we're about to see, we've got 3 verbs and 3 subjects. So in this is a clause. I'll tell you right now, I'm not testing you on clauses, but and after we have practiced, let's start with the verb. There's a real verb just in this group of words. And after we have practiced, where's the verb?
Practiced.
Have practice.
I agree.
How about have?
What
auxiliary?
Thank you.
Auxiliary.
Exactly right. Now this, if you've taken this class, if you're here with me, you've taken Grammar 350 or you tested into this class, usually at Grammar 50, you get a lot of practice with the present perfect, right? I have seen, I have met, she has bought, we have driven. I don't know, right? You get some practice with making the present participle and to make the, with making the present perfect. And to make the present perfect tense, you need the auxiliary verb have, and then you need the past participle form of the verb. Like I said, if you ever studied a grammar book and you had to memorize go, went, gone, see, saw, seen, what's another one? Think, thought, whatever it is, right? Talk, talked, talked. Not all of them are irregular. That third column in your textbook is the past participle form of the verb. So when we have a verb tense, have practiced, the actual verb is practice. Have is the auxiliary that we are using to make this verb tense. Now, again, if you're going, oh my gosh, like have and present participle and all this stuff, after we talk about clauses, like Bibi was anticipating, so we've got probably 2 more weeks about clauses, then we are going to look at some specific verb tenses, right? But before we look at those verb tenses and what's going on there, I really want to make sure we feel comfortable with identifying the verbs. I want to make sure we understand what's going on in the sentence before we think about how to use the verb tenses, right? Okay, so have practiced is the actual verb, the main verb. Have is an auxiliary. Where's our subject?
We.
Excellent. I think I got a different color here. That's better. Yes, so practiced is the verb. And that's it. right? That's it. Now, Bibi's question about clauses, we've got some other stuff going on here, right? We've got some interesting stuff going on when we think about clauses and sentences, but wait for the next slide after this. So how about, we'll just look at this clause. We will feel more confident writing academic sentences. Where's my verb in this clause?
Writing.
Feel.
Feel is the verb.
Feel.
Writing, and I heard feel.
Writing is the gerund and feel is the verb.
I agree. I think I heard Sudaba saying this. I agree. So if feel is the verb, where's my subject?
We.
Yeah, good.
Feel is auxiliary.
Yes, excellent. Exactly right. Will is the auxiliary, feel is the main verb. And in this case, remember, will is an auxiliary that gives us tense, just like have gives us the verb tense here, right? But have gives us present perfect, and will gives us the future, right? And will gives us the future tense. And if you thought the verb was writing, that makes sense. It's got ing, but remember, we have to always look at the subject. And in this clause, I want you to think, okay, what's the action of the sentence? Are we feeling or are we writing in this sentence? We will feel something. Let me finish this, and then I'll go back to why it can't be writing. So I've got the subject we, I've got will, I've got feel, and then I've got writing. I think I already heard somebody say it. We've got a verb that's not a verb and it has an ing. So what is it?
It's a gerund.
It's the present participle.
Continue.
Right? This is the present participle. And as I say up here, right? Present participle. And like I put on the slide here, right? At the beginning, present participle, base form of the verb plus ing. Okay.
And is it a noun?
Yes. I mean, again, if we want in grammar 320, or honestly, Rafi, in even like a university level class, if you were getting a degree in linguistics, we could do a really deep analysis of what's going on after the verb in this clause. But again, for us, it can get really scary really quickly. That's why I keep showing you this example. I want you guys to feel comfortable asking yourself, okay, does this whole group of words go together? Can I replace the whole thing with a single pronoun? And if it is, we're just going to talk about those words like it's a subject noun phrase, right? And I'd say, Rafi, like here, this is the object, the word writing, the gerund is the thing. It's the object in this phrase. But again, to use this test, we will feel it, right? We will feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And say, what will we feel? We will feel more confident writing academic sentences, right? And I love your question and I want to answer it, but it gets really complicated really quickly. So instead, I just want to encourage you guys to keep thinking, okay, it comes after the verb. Can I replace this whole group of words with a single pronoun? And if so, I'm going to use this again. It's acting like a noun phrase. And remember, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Noun phrases can be subjects and noun phrases can be objects. But the most important thing I want you to feel comfortable with in this class is practicing finding those groups of words and where they go together. And I did put I put one new lesson in Canvas and one new discussion. I'll show you this at the end. But the new lesson this week that is in there is just to help you practice this. Can you practice grouping these words together to see, okay, which group of words go together to form a phrase? Because it's just important to, it's good to practice. It's good to practice. So that's my long answer to Rafi's excellent question. Let's call writing a gerund. That makes it a noun, and it comes after the verb phrase. Excuse me, it comes after the verb. It can be replaced with a single pronoun. It's the object noun phrase. It's the thing we will feel, right? It's the thing we will feel.
Thank you.
Question from Rafi. Other questions about this slide? I think I've got, yeah, this is the same thing. Other questions about this warm-up and this example, because this is the last time I'm going to talk about verb phrases in class. Of course, we can always talk about it in office hours or when you submit grammar writing 2. Again, I keep hinting at it. You'll see it next week, but you'll get to do this type of analysis. You'll get to look at verbs in much more depth for grammar writing 2. So any questions?
No, thank you.
All right.
Can I ask a simple question?
Of course.
Normally, what is the difference between sentence and phrase? Or
perfect. I'm ready. I'm ready. Again, Bibi, you and Bibi are both on it. You're right there. You're right. And again, I'm happy because when I hear a student ask that question, I'm like, oh, you guys are, they're ready. They're ready. You know, you feel comfortable enough to start thinking those questions. So here's my answer to this. Remember, I said this really briefly last week, but we're going to really look at it today. A clause is one subject and one verb. And a phrase can have a noun, a phrase can have a verb, a phrase can have a preposition, a phrase can have an adjective, whatever. But if it cannot have a clause, for example, I'm making this more difficult than it needs to be. That's a phrase because there's no subject and verb in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a clause because there is a subject and a verb in it. That's a clause because there's a subject and a verb in it. And so is this. Now, the only reason it gets difficult, and this is why I didn't fully answer your question, Rafi, is as I've said before, right? The thing that makes teaching grammar this way difficult, even though I think it's very empowering for students, is remember in English sentences, we've got, let's even imagine the biggest doll here. Let's say this is a clause, right? The biggest doll is a clause. Well, inside that clause might be a phrase. Inside that phrase might be another smaller phrase. And inside that phrase, you could even have an even teeny, weeny, tinier phrase, right? And that's why at the more advanced levels, it can get very specific very quickly. But the short answer to your question is, Rafi, if it's got a subject and a verb, it's a clause. If it doesn't, it's a phrase.
Okay, thank you.
And for academic writing, the most helpful way to think about that and why I talk about it so much is these little phrases at the beginning and sometimes at the end of sentences. We see this in English grammar and college writing all the time. And this is the most, I'd say this is the most useful way for us at the 310 level to think about phrases, right? They come at the beginning, or the end of sentences, and they don't actually have a subject and a verb. They might have a noun, like people were saying, but Jeff, I see studying, right? I see a gerund. Yes, you do, but there's no verb in here, right? There's no verb in here. And again, the big clue is here's a preposition. So we know an always rule of English grammar, there's gotta be a noun phrase after that preposition, right? There's gotta be a noun phrase after that preposition. So like Rafi and Bibi were asking, a clause is one subject and one phrase. And here's the basics about this. It may be a sentence by itself, or it may be linked to another phrase or clause by a conjunction. Mm-hmm. There are two types of clauses, independent clauses and dependent clauses. And again, my abbreviation for these are IND for independent and DEP for dependent. The only thing that makes these two types of clauses different is an independent clause. An independent clause can be a sentence by itself. You can stick a period at the end of that clause and it's good, done, complete, full idea. A dependent clause cannot be a sentence by itself. And here's some examples. So when the sun comes out, period. I've got the sun as my subject, right? We could say comes as the verb. Maybe you want to say this is a phrasal verb and these go together. Okay, either way. But I've got a subject, the sun. I've got an action, comes out. But I've got this word. And this is a conjunction, and we'll talk much more about this. This is a subordinating conjunction. And in fact, this is an adverb. And many adverbs are conjunctions in the context of clauses, right? But let's look at more examples. I'm actually going to, let me make sure I duplicate this so that people see a cleaner version of it. Okay. So when the sun comes out, period. I hope that when I say, when the sun comes out, I hope when you hear that, that feels like an incomplete idea. And if it doesn't, I suggest you read some more books in English or watch videos in English, because this idea of understanding what feels like a complete sentence can be difficult, even at the 310 level. But again, if you see a time word and a subject and a verb, but just a period, no other information in the sentence, you know, you probably don't have a complete sentence, right? You probably don't have a complete sentence. So let's look at more examples. So I like to sit in the sun. Where's my verb?
Like.
I agree.
No, like, yes.
Like.
And where's my subject?
I.
Good. I've got an infinitive in here. Where's my infinitive?
Sit.
To set.
Thank you. I think I heard BB in there. That's right. This is an infinitive. And just for fun, I've got a preposition here. So what type of phrase is this?
Article.
This is an article.
Object.
In
Prepositional of object.
These, yes. But these three words are in the sun, on the phone, under the couch, on the whatever. These are prepositional phrases. You're exactly.
Prepositional phrase, yes.
I heard people saying it too. In is the preposition. The is the determiner. Sun is the noun. The sun is the object noun phrase to the preposition. But again, none of that matters, right? For what we're talking about right now, just more practice. I like to sit in the sun, period. This is a full and complete sentence. This is an independent clause. It can be a sentence by itself. But I always wear sunscreen, period. Now, again, we've got a conjunction. This is a subordinating conjunction. And the meaning of this sentence by itself cannot stand by itself, excuse me. But I always wear sunscreen, period. Can't do it. This is a dependent clause. Where is my verb?
Where?
Where?
Good. And my subject?
I.
I agree. And just for fun, what part of speech is always?
Adverb.
Adverb. We're feeling good. We're feeling good. All right, last one, and then we'll start to put these two together, right? Because I'm showing you examples of dependent and independent, but the real magic is seeing how they come together, right? So using sunscreen is healthy. This is an independent clause. Where's my verb?
Is.
I agree.
Is.
Where's the subject?
I'm sorry?
Where is my subject?
Sunscreen? It doesn't have subject.
It does have subject.
Using.
Good. This isn't a command. Remember, this isn't use sunscreen. That would be the implied. That would be you use sunscreen. This is a general statement. So here I have the present participle. It is a noun and it comes before the verb in a clause. So here, this is our object noun phrase, right? Whether we say using is the verb, is the subject by itself, or sunscreen is the subject by itself. In this class, you guys, I don't care, but it's got to be these together, right? Because this is, yeah, that's all I want to say. That's all I want to say. That's all I want to say. Remember, the gerunds, we just talked about how the present participle looks like a verb, acts like a noun, but that doesn't, how can I say this more clearly? Present participle, base form plus ing, looks like a verb, acts like a noun. And just like any other noun, that noun can be a subject or an object. That's the thing I wanted to emphasize here. So using sunscreen is healthy. What is healthy? Using sunscreen is healthy, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's look at some examples and see what happens when we put these together. Let's play a little game called how many clauses? How many clauses? So the first one, I like the sun. Where's my verb?
Like.
Like.
And where's my object or subject, excuse me?
I.
And like I said, what is the thing I like? Where's the object?
Sun.
Sun.
So how many clauses are in this sentence?
One.
Thank you. And is it independent or dependent?
Independent.
I agree. It can be a sentence by itself, right? The grammar is good here. I like the sun, period. Great, great. That's a great sentence. That's a great sentence. How about this one? I like the sun, but not too much. Where's my verb?
Like.
Like.
And the subject?
I.
Agree. Do I have another verb and a subject?
No.
I agree. So do I have how many clauses?
One.
Yep. Dependent or independent?
Independent.
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 Right, because I'm kind of telling you guys, these are sentences, right? Now we're going to start to see some more difficult things. And I keep thinking of Rafi's great question. So Rafi, I like the sun, a clause. But when Rafi was asking, what's the difference between a clause and a phrase? Well, here, even after the verb and the object, I've got lots of stuff going on here, right? I've got a conjunction. I don't know, again, I know, but whatever this is, Rafi, that's an example of a phrase, right? Because it can't be a clause because there's no subject and there's no noun. And like I said, in this class, I will show you some of the easier to understand phrases. For example, prepositional phrase is pretty easy to recognize in written English, but it can get crazy. with college textbooks, sentences can get pretty crazy. Okay, so we've got one clause here, and it's an independent clause. Now let's look at the next one. I like sunscreen, comma, but I like the sun, excuse me, comma, but I always wear sunscreen. Where's my verb or verb?
Like.
I agree. Do I have another verb?
Yes. Where?
It's another verb.
Good, like we saw in the other one. And I is the subject here, right? I is the subject here. So how many clauses here?
Two.
Two.
It's a dependent clause.
I agree. I've got two clauses. Now, the thing to ask yourself here, we're starting to test some things. I like the sun. Could this be independent or dependent?
Independent.
Independent.
It is. I always wear sunscreen. Dependent or independent?
Dependent.
Now I'm going to show you.
Independent.
Now I'm going to show you something here. I got my slide in the wrong place here. Now here's something you might have seen before. Now I'll come back to the slide, you guys, but I want to explain something. Have you seen this, fanboys, in another class? Has anyone ever seen the fanboys, the famous fanboys examples of conjunctions? Have we seen this before?
Yes.
Okay, Bibi, can you tell us, what do you remember?
Oh. Can between two sentences, to join two sentences, one independent and dependent clauses.
Oh, you're so close. Bibi is saying it joins two sentences, and I'm going to say it joins two clauses, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Clauses. And when we use, and here's some important information. This is why the fanboys matter, you guys. For and nor, but, or, yet, so. That's why FANBOYS. That's what fanboys comes from, you guys. Now, here's something that this isn't always rule. I have good news. So these are the only coordinating conjunctions. These are called coordinating conjunctions. And the rule is, if you ever used one of these and a teacher said, no, you can't use this conjunction here, that's because they are used to connect two independent clauses. And that's why I wanted to show you this now, because look what we have in this sentence. We've got but, right? We've got a fanboy. And the job of the fanboys is to create and connect two independent clauses. So this one is two clauses, both independent. And again, how do we know this, you guys? And this is what we're going to get much more practice with for the next couple of weeks is I've got a coordinating conjunction, right? I've got a fanboy. And that makes this 2 independent clauses. And I've got another slide to show you here about the types of English sentences, but that means that this is a compound sentence, right? And I hear students all the time say, Jeff, but I can't say but, you know, I don't, but if I said this, if I just said, but I always wear sunscreen, period, that wouldn't be a full sentence. That wouldn't be grammatically correct. And that is true, but that's why we talk about fanboys so much, because I always say the fanboys are very powerful, because not only do they connect clauses, but they sort of, how can I say this? They determine, they decide, they choose what type of sentence you're writing and what type of sentence you're reading, right? So if it's a fanboy and you've got 2 independent clauses, you've got a compound sentence, okay? So that's what, excuse me, that's what this one is. I like the sun, comma, but I always wear sunscreen. 2 clauses, both independent. Now we've got a difference here, right? Because let's look at this one. I like the sun when it's not too hot. I'll tell you right now, we've got 2 verbs and 2 subjects. Where's the first verb?
Like.
Yep.
Like.
And what the subject I, let's keep it easy. Where is my second verb?
Is.
Yeah. And the subject here?
It.
Yeah, we're feeling good now. We're warmed up. We're confident. I love it. Now I'll ask you guys, where is the conjunction?
When.
Yes, BB. If you didn't know, and that's okay if you didn't, we're going to get much more practice. This, like I said earlier, very quickly, and I've got videos for you, and it's all in your textbook. Unlike the fanboys, where there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coordinating conjunctions, there are many, 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 many subordinating conjunctions. And I say subordinating conjunctions because these are words that link 2 clauses, but are not fanboys. So here I've got 2 clauses, right? 1 independent and 1 dependent. Now, hopefully this is clear, but if not, I'll teach you the rule right now. Which one is dependent?
It's not too hot.
Excellent, baby. Yes.
Nice.
This one is the dependent clause. And now here's where English grammar is weird. So forgive me. I always say I just teach it. I didn't make the rules. Okay, here. Fanboys. You don't need to include the conjunction in the clause, right? When you're looking at it, when you're analyzing. Subordinating conjunctions, things like when, after, and some other examples we'll see here, you do, that counts as part of the clause. So we've got 2 clauses. I like the sun is clause 1. When it's not too hot is the second clause, okay? And again, we'll see more examples of subordinating conjunctions, but just so that we sort of understand what's going on, what we're looking at here. So 2 clauses, 1 independent and 1 dependent. This is called a complex sentence. And here, when I say compound, complex, etc., I just mean literally, you guys, by definition, a compound sentence is 2 independent clauses joined by a fanboy. That's it, right? That's what a compound sentence is. In English, 2 clauses, 1 independent and 1 dependent, joined by a subordinating conjunction. That's a complex sentence, okay? So compound sentence, 2 clauses. Complex sentence, 2 clauses, right? The difference is subordinating or coordinating. That's the biggest difference, right? That's the biggest difference. Before we look at the next big long one, I want to pause. Questions about these 2 examples. This is an important idea. So if it's not clear yet, please let's slow down and talk about it. Anybody?
We cannot use like I like the sun, but I always wear sun cream screen. Can we use so or no?
Yes, I love it. Great question. Now, again, remember, such a good question. Yes, you can. And that won't change the grammar at all.
Okay.
It doesn't change the grammar at all. So I always wear sunscreen. And I always wear sunscreen. But I always wear sunscreen. That doesn't change the grammar at all. But remember, this is a grammar class, not a sort of style and writing class. But the different pronoun, or excuse me, the different conjunction you use there, Copper, will slightly change the feeling and the meaning of the sentence for a native speaker, right? So the grammar wouldn't change. You still have a coordinating conjunction. You still have a compound sentence, but the meaning would slightly change. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, but Cawthor's right. Right. I mean, she's exactly right. That's a perfect example of the power of the fanboys, right? That's a perfect example of why those 7 conjunctions are so important. And I want to say one more thing here about the fanboys because of Cawthor's great question. Remember, just because you see a word that can be a fanboy does not mean that it's acting like a conjunction in that context. And I want to show you an example. I think I've showed you this before. I like pizza and apples. Let's keep it real simple. It's dinner time, I guess. I'm thinking about the food. I like pizza and apples. Like is my verb.
Like.
I am the subject. So I've got one subject, one verb. How many clauses do I have?
One.
One clause.
So I've got a simple sentence, but I've got a fanboy. So is this what's going on here?
And.
Yep. But here's the difference. This is still a conjunction, you guys, but it's not a coordinating conjunction. It's a conjunction that joins 2 nouns together. We could say 2 noun phrases, Rafi, because even though they're just one word, they each are they have their own meaning and their own power in the sentence. So it's still a conjunction, but just because you see the word and doesn't mean it's going to be a compound sentence. This is really important for some people at this level, right? So just remember, if you see a conjunction and or so or for, these are such common words. Always ask yourself when you're doing a sentence analysis like this, how many clauses, how many subjects? Excuse me, how many verbs, how many subjects? Because if you've only got one subject and one verb, you still only have one clause. And this is just a sort of, we could say like a regular, everyday, common conjunction, instead of being one of these powerful coordinating conjunctions that connects clauses. So that's what I mean here. That's what this note means up here. Okay, you guys? Okay, let's look at the last long example. Oh, and excuse me, I need to teach you guys one more thing. So if it's got one independent clause, you guys, we call that a simple sentence. And for many of you guys, if you've seen my notes or feedback in this class, almost always what I'm trying to do for you guys at this level is to break the habit of only writing simple sentences, right? My name is Jeff. I live in California. I am a teacher. I love my job. People are happy. Again, these are great. Those are great sentences. The grammar is totally fine, but G310, G320, 325, college level writing, you've got to use more than just simple sentences. So that's again why it takes so much time to sort of show you the structure, because this is the expectation for you guys especially by English 300. We use simple sentences, absolutely, write simple sentences, but if you've got a full paragraph and every sentence is a simple sentence, okay, let's look at
Excuse me, Professor.
Yes, Rafi.
How about this sentence, for example? I like the sun while I wear sunscreen.
Good.
Is it a compound sentence or complex sentence?
I like the sun while
I wear, yeah.
I'll ask you a simple, hopefully, is there a fanboy here?
No.
So it's a complex sentence. and this is your subordinator. Now I will show you a list of subordinators, but I have a link for you guys. But just for example, examples of English. I don't want to scare you, but I like to show you fanboys, because if we look at a list of subordinators in English, there are so many, right? And we could just keep going down the list. This is, you know, different examples of different types of clauses. All of these adverbs could all be so right? So I don't show you that to scare you. And I think sometimes, what do I want to say? Please, I hope you don't feel like you have to memorize every subordinator in English. Please don't try. It will be very painful. Instead, the way that I try to teach this class is focus on the fanboys. Because if you've got two clauses and a fanboy, it's compound. If you see two clauses and you don't see a fanboy, then at least you know, okay, there's something going on here. There's probably a complex sentence in here. And even if I'm not sure what the subordinating word is, at least I can start to look for it, right? At least I can sort of see, you know, so that's why I say focus on the fanboys first. And once you feel comfortable there, then maybe, you know, look at some lists of subordinators, because there's so many. Oh man, there's so many.
Thank you.
And Rafi's doing exactly what we're going to do before we finish here, which is I want to see some examples of your own. Let's look at the last one, and then I want to see some of your own examples of this. So I like the sun, comma, but I always use sunscreen when it is bright outside, because using sunscreen is healthy. Let's go real simple. We already know there's trying to make it happy for you guys, right? Here's our verb. Here's our subject.
Yeah.
Now, what do I have here?
Conjunction.
And what kind of conjunction?
Fanboy.
So is it a coordinator or a subordinator?
Subordinate.
You want to
Oh no, coordinate.
I love it. Thank you, Zuhal. Yes, this is our fanboy. The fanboys are, let me go back. Oh, so many slides. I think it's on the slide. I want to make sure it's clear. Yes.
Yes.
Let me say this. I'll put it like in bold so that it's more clear. These fanboys are the coordinators, right? Fanboys are the coordinators. Let me make sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I've got a coordinated conjunction. And so that means already thinking, okay, more subjects and more verbs, right? But I always use sunscreen. Now, do I have more subjects and more verbs after this?
Yes.
Yes.
Give me one.
It.
Is.
Yep.
And verb is.
I'm very happy. This is happy teacher time. Yep. And where's I'll even tell you already, we have another one. Where's the other subject and verb?
Using sunscreen.
Using is.
Thank you so much.
The
So
verb
how many clauses do I have?
3.
3.
4. Oh my gosh.
1, 2, 3,
3,
4. 4.
Oh my God. Yes. Again, this doesn't look like a scary, crazy sentence, right? But you see now, there's a lot going on. Okay, so we already said, but is my coordinating conjunction, right? Now, do we want to guess, where do the clauses start? Where are my subordinators?
And because.
When?
Yes.
And?
Because.
Happy. Now, notice you guys, if you didn't understand that or see that right away, that's fine. But some people already start to get that feeling. And again, this is about what group of words go together, right? And here and we could sort of do this just from not really guessing, but look at the structure of the sentence. Conjunction, subject, adverb, verb, object. And then I've got the next subject here. So in a way, this when kind of has to be the subordinator. There's only one word between the object, which is connected to this clause, right? This is what I always use in this clause. And the beginning of the next clause with the subject, it is bright outside, right? So we could say this is 4 clauses, 1 coordinating, and that's but, 2 subordinating,
Subordinating conjunction.
and they are when and
And
because.
because.
And this is an example of a complex sentence. And the definition for this is 2 independent clauses plus at least 1 dependent clause. And I should say one more thing. So how many, we've got 4 clauses. How many independent clauses?
2.
I agree. And 2.
Dependent clause.
And I'm gonna duplicate this slide and I'm gonna change the colors here for you to make sure that I'm just gonna identify the clauses, right? I like the sun, dependent or independent?
Dependent.
Dependent or independent?
Independent.
Thank you. But fanboy, I always use sunscreen, dependent or independent?
Independent.
Remember?
Independent.
It's got a fanboy, it's independent. Excuse me, I'm so tired, you guys. It's got a fanboy, it is independent. I am talking too fast today. But when it is bright outside, dependent or independent?
Independent.
What, do I have a fanboy or do I have a subordinator?
Subordinator.
So is it dependent or independent?
Dependent.
Independent.
Dependent. I'm going to go back to the rules here, you guys, right?
Dependent, yes.
Excuse me. And if you're not, yeah, you guys, here we go. Remember, the fanboys are coordinating conjunctions and they connect. I'm going to make this color hopefully more clear here, right? 2 independent.
And poison.
That's it. If you see a fanboy, think independent. If you see a fanboy, think independent. Going back to my example sentence here, it is bright outside because using sunscreen is healthy. Here's my subordinator. It's not a fanboy. So is this dependent or independent?
Dependent.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Professor. Now I understand what's going on.
Yes, of course. And it's a lot, right? We went through this pretty quickly. We get to practice it a lot more. But again, it's really, really important that you understand how to identify the verbs before we can even talk about clauses, right? Because if you're getting confused by infinitives, or if you're getting confused by gerunds, it's really hard to even think about clauses, because in order to even talk and think about clauses, before you can even think independent, dependent, simple sentence, blah, 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 you've got to be able to consistently find subject and verb, subject and verb, subject and verb. And once you can do that, then the world kind of opens up a little bit, then the world kind of opens up for you a little bit. Okay, so there's more slides in here, but I think our brains are shutting down. So I want to go to so all the rules that I just talked about, you guys, are here on these slides. This will be in Canvas. And I'm going to talk much more about this next week. But the basic thing to remember here is 1 independent clause is a simple sentence. 2 independent clauses is a compound sentence, and you must have a fanboy. 2 clauses, 1 dependent, 1 independent, linked by a subordinator, which there are many in English, is a complex sentence. And our last example here of, at least 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause is a compound complex sentence. And here's that example for you. And just to make, I think it's clear, but the purple remains, these are the conjunctions. Fanboy, but subordinator, subordinator. Okay, before we go, what I want is just take a minute or two. Don't think too hard. Just, I want you to, in the chat, if you're able to and you want to, give me an example of a compound sentence. Remember, a compound sentence is two independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. Put it in the chat, and I just want to take a look at some examples before we get out of here. Love it. I see my first example. Let's see my next example.
Professor, is it a right grammatically, like, is it like right sentences? No.
I'm
No.
fixing it right now. Perfect.
Or
We'll fix it. I'll fix it. We'll if I can get 2 or 3 more people here, we'll just look at examples together and then we'll finish. So believe me, Ina, I will explain, I will show you, and I will explain. But I love that, just if you're still there, I love that you wrote a long, interesting sentence, right? It's even though there are grammar errors, I like this sentence better than I like the sun, period. Do you know what I mean? This is more interesting. There's more going on. Oh, nice. Great.
other one, but I think it's not correct. I'm not sure.
No, these are all good examples. This is, again, some of my favorite stuff to do in this class. I'm very happy. Remember, if you all knew how to do this already, you would not need my class. The only way we learn is by making mistakes.
Thank you, Professor.
As I think I said this already in this class, right? It's your job to make mistakes. It's my job to help you learn and fix it.
Thank you.
But just another minute or two, and then we'll look at some examples. I don't want you to feel stressed or rushed if you're still working, but I do want to I want to end even 5 minutes early. Let's get out of here.
And excuse me, Professor.
People heard me say leave early and they already left. This class is getting smaller. Okay, Ruffy. And then let's look at these together and then we'll get out of here. Oh, I like babies too. Okay. Let's look at the first one. He ate breakfast before he left home. Where, well, let's keep this real easy, right? Subject, he, and ate. Do we have another subject and verb in this sentence?
He left.
I agree. Now, is this compound or complex?
Complex.
Complex.
Why is it complex?
Because it didn't have a fanboy.
Before.
Excellent. Thank you, Kather. I think I heard a few people too, but yes, we do have two clauses. We do have a conjunction, but it's not a fanboy, right?
Yes.
So remember, I think at the beginning I said, hey, give me a compound sentence. So this is a complex sentence. That's not bad. This is a beautiful sentence. The grammar is perfect. Everything about it is correct. But I just want to make sure it's clear that this is a complex sentence, not a compound sentence.
We don't have to use a comma or no?
No, and I'll talk much more about that next week, Kather, but here's the short answer, and this is me saying it very short.
Okay.
Notice, here's the independent clause. It comes first, right? It comes before the dependent clause. When we have the independent clause first, no comma. But when we have the dependent clause first, then we do need the comma. Now we'll practice this. We're going to practice commas a lot at the end of the semester, Kather, but that's my very short answer to your question. And it's the good news is it's an always rule. Dependent clause first, comma. Independent clause first, no comma.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I like that sound. That's like a. I'm going to wait for this one. I want to look at Ina's other one. I drove, well, because it would take too long and I do want to leave early, Ina. I drove my car before, I'm going to just fix it. It broke down. Remember, we've got past tense drove, so we need past tense here. So where's my verb?
Drove.
Drove.
And my verb?
Broke.
Good. And our subjects?
I
and eat.
I agree. And so I've got two clauses. Where's my conjunction?
Before.
Yep. So is this compound or complex?
Complex.
Complex.
Thank you so much. I love it. And let's even do, remember this class really is more focused on the clauses. So I want to make sure that this is clear for you guys. Here's the dependent. Here's the independent, right? Now, how about this one? I like to travel, but I'm scared of airplanes. We'll make this plural. I like to travel, but I am scared of airplanes. Where's my two verbs?
Like
and scared.
I agree. And we've even got an infinitive in here, right? To travel.
Like and am.
Yep. And where's my conjunction?
but
I agree. So is this compound or complex?
compound.
Compound.
Yes. Fanboy, right?
Oh, because like, yeah, I understood right now.
Again, I love my favorite sound that I ever hear as a teacher. Oh, I love that sound. I love that sound. That's exactly correct, right? And again, just to make sure, yeah, my computer's getting slow. Just to make sure, I like to travel, independent. I am scared of airplanes, independent, and my fanboy, right? And my coordinating conjunction. Let's look at two more. We might have time for your long one too, you know, don't worry. There's some fun stuff there. Okay, I like this class, so I tried to do my homework on time. A very nice sentence that also makes me happy. Where is my...
Like.
Yep.
Like.
Do. The verb.
Yep. Excellent. Well, what's going on here?
Try is a verb.
Yes, and what's do?
To do is an infinitive.
Thank you, baby. Again, another figure two, and I'm very confident you guys are going to feel good about the infinitive stuff. It's tricky. It's tricky. I've got two clauses, and where's my conjunction?
So.
So.
Is it a fanboy?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
It sure is. So, compound or complex?
Compound.
Yeah, it sure is. And again, I just keep thinking about, I hope you're starting to see, you know, my favorite metaphor that I use too much, right? But the nesting dolls, right? Like, this is why it's important. Here's the conjunction, here's the subject, here's the verb. But even inside this clause, I've got this infinitive inside, right? You see how it all sort of starts to come together. This was Bibi's, and I agree. I like fries, but I can't eat it because it is unhealthy. Bibi, I'll just tell you, has given us 3 clauses. Where are my 3 verbs?
Like, eat, and
Agree?
is.
Eat is.
Excellent. Yep. Excellent. And
Subject.
fries are plural, so I'm just going to change this. So instead of it, I'm going to change they, because fries up here, we're referring back to fries, and it's plural. Right? So how many clauses?
3.
3.
And do I have, where are my, well, let me ask this. Where are my conjunctions?
But and because.
But and because.
But because.
Excellent. So I've got 3 clauses.
And 2.
How many independent?
2.
2 independent, 1 dependent.
And 1 dependent. So what type of sentence is this?
Compound complex.
Yes. That's it, you guys. That's it. This is what we're going to talk about for the next few weeks here, right? Maybe at least one more week we'll get to practice this.
Thank you, Professor, for explaining. Finally, I got it.
Because once you make your sentences, I think I've said this before, putting your sentences together, then we can talk about more verb tenses, right? Because what's the point in talking about verb tenses if your sentences are still kind of all over the place, you know? So that's why we start the way we do in this class. And let me
Professor?
Yes, please.
We can change it with them because maybe it confused. I can eat them.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't change that one as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Exactly right.
Eat them it.
That's it.
Can you remove the it?
I
But
can't eat them. Yeah.
I'm so tired.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
No, Bibi, you're correcting me. Thank you. I'll just say it's a typo. It was a typing error. Yeah. It was a typing error. So that's the lesson for today, you guys. And now, like I said, I posted one new lesson in Canvas, right? It's lesson 12, and it's about phrases. So lesson 12 isn't even about this complex compound yet. I'm going to talk about this much more next week, and then we'll really start to practice sentences. But what is in Canvas is just to help you practice this type of stuff that we did at the beginning, okay? I want you to feel comfortable with phrases and verb phrases. We get a whole nother week talking about sentence types. And then we'll have some more practice for you in Canvas with the clauses and the sentence types, okay?
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Any questions at all?
And
Tomorrow.
for the grammar writing, you said 2 next week. What
Yeah,
do you mean we have to start writing from
No,
now?
it's not even in Canvas for you yet. I will show it to you. Again, I'll show it to you next week and give you the instructions. We will talk about it, but there's nothing for you to do. I'm just sort of giving you a heads up, right? So, hey, next week I will assign grammar writing 2, but there's nothing you need to do, you know, to prepare or anything right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Professor,
yeah,
my first grammar writing, when I rewrite it and submit it, and the Canvas show that it's late.
Oh yeah,
So-
not a problem. Again, I think we talked about this at the beginning. I have more power than the computer. I will always look at grades, okay, baby? And I think I said this earlier, Thursday morning is sort of my time that I scheduled for lots of grading for this class this week. So if you resubmitted Grammar 1, if you have any older assignments, I will be looking at those things Thursday morning. So check
Okay,
out
thank you, Professor.
that time.
Thank you.
Of course. Anybody else?
Excuse me, I have another question.
Always, let's go.
Do you remember last semester you introduced an online dictionary to us? Could
Yeah.
you say again, please?
Of course. My favorite that I talk about all the time. Learner's Dictionary. It's like a favorited website. Again, I like it because it's still Merriam-Webster, right? It's still like a big sort of famous company, but I'll put this in the chat too. The definitions are written for learners, so they don't have a lot of crazy difficult vocabulary. And I'm just going to look up the word compound. It's on my brain now. It's the adjective. If you look at the definitions, made up of 1 or 2 more parts, they always give you example phrases or sentences. So that's why I always recommend this website. And they give you pronunciation examples too. So if you've never seen it before, it's free. I really like it. I highly recommend it. And that's the one that I always, you know, have. If you have a paper one, use that too. That is fantastic. But this is my favorite online one.
Thank you.
Of course. Anybody else? If not, I will say goodbye. You're wonderful. But otherwise, I'll see you next week.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Professor.
Wonderful night. Bye.